Enjoy the 1 hour-long sleep and bedtime story to fall asleep quickly. Whether if you had a stressful day or you just want to relax, this story is perfect for you. If you enjoy this video, please support me with a like and subscribe to this channel. But now listen closely as you fall asleep without even noticing. Aeryn lived in a small, quiet town nestled in a valley surrounded by soft, rolling hills. The world here was gentle, the days slow, and the nights filled with the hum of crickets and the whisper of distant winds. While most people in the town found peace in the predictability of their lives, Aeryn always felt there was something more. Aeryn couldn't explain it, a faint pull in their chest, like a thread tugging toward a horizon they could never see. One cool evening, as the sun melted into the hills and painted the sky in shades of orange and lavender, Aeryn wandered the cobbled streets of the town's market square. It was an old tradition for the vendors to stay open late on these soft twilight evenings, their stalls glowing with lanterns. The air carried the faint scent of spiced bread and freshly cut herbs. Aeryn strolled aimlessly, fingers brushing over wooden trinkets, jars of honey, and colorful fabrics. At the edge of the market, past the bustle of familiar faces, Aeryn noticed a small stall they had never seen before. It was barely more than a table draped in deep blue velvet, the fabric shimmering like the night sky. Behind the table sat an old woman with a face lined by years of laughter and wisdom. Her eyes sparkled, almost as if they held tiny stars within them. Curiosity pulled Aeryn closer. The table was covered in strange, delicate objects, carved stones, tiny glass bottles filled with swirling light, and a silver compass unlike anything Aeryn had ever seen. The compass was the size of a palm, its casing etched with intricate patterns of clouds and birds. The needle glowed faintly, but it didn't point north. Instead, it swirled slowly, as if it were alive. Aeryn couldn't take their eyes off it. The old woman noticed. She said in a voice as soft as a breeze. "It calls to you, doesn't it?" Aeryn blinked. "What do you mean?" The woman smiled mysteriously. "Not all compasses point to places. Some point to journeys." Aeryn frowned slightly, but couldn't tear their gaze away. "Where does it lead?" "To the skies," the woman whispered, leaning closer. "To a place beyond what the eye can see, where the clouds cradle the world and the stars hum songs of old. But it doesn't choose just anyone." Aeryn hesitated. "How do you know it's choosing me?" The woman chuckled softly. "I don't, but perhaps you do." Aeryn reached out tentatively, fingers brushing the cool surface of the compass. As soon as they touched it, a gentle warmth spread through their hand, and the faint glow of the needle brightened. Aeryn's breath caught. The woman's knowing smile deepened. "It's yours," she said simply. "But I don't have any money," Aeryn began, but the woman waved a hand dismissively. "Journeys aren't bought," she said. "They're taken." That night, Aeryn lay in bed, the compass resting on the table beside them. The room was quiet except for the occasional rustle of leaves outside the window. The faint glow of the compass cast soft patterns on the ceiling, and as Aeryn stared at it, they felt that strange pull again, the thread tugging at their chest, stronger now, more insistent. The pull became a lullaby, and before Aeryn realized it, their eyelids grew heavy. Sleep overtook them like a wave, and the last thing they saw was the gentle pulse of the compass's light. Aeryn awoke to the feeling of weightlessness. The bed was gone, the room replaced by an endless golden glow. They sat up and gasped. They were floating on a small patch of soft, mossy ground surrounded by a sea of golden clouds. Above them, the sky was a rich tapestry of colors, deep indigo streaked with shimmering silver and gold. The air was warm and fragrant, carrying the scent of wildflowers and a faint hint of rain. Aeryn stood, heart racing but not with fear. It was all wonder and something that felt like recognition, as if they had always belonged here. They turned slowly, taking in a sight of floating islands in the distance. Each one was unique, some covered in lush forests, others glowing faintly as if illuminated from within. Waterfalls tumbled off the edges of some islands, their streams disappearing into the golden clouds below. And then there was the compass. It floated in front of Aeryn, spinning gently, its glow brighter than ever. The needle no longer swirled aimlessly. It pointed steadily toward one of the islands in the distance, a large, glowing expanse bathed in the soft light of what looked like an endless sunrise. Aeryn felt the pull again, stronger now, like the thread had become a rope guiding them forward. Without questioning it, they stepped off the mossy ground. Instead of falling, they felt the clouds rise beneath their feet, solid and soft, cradling them as they walked. As Aeryn moved toward the island, the world around them seemed to come alive. Birds with shimmering feathers and long ribbon-like tails flew in graceful arcs above. Tiny, glowing insects buzzed around like fireflies, leaving trails of light in their wake. The air hummed with a gentle, melodic vibration, as if the sky itself was singing. When Aeryn reached the island, they found themselves standing at the edge of a vast meadow. The grass was a deep amber, glowing faintly in the soft light. Scattered across the meadow were trees with silver bark and golden leaves that tinkled like chimes in the breeze. In the distance, a figure stood beneath one of the trees, their forms silhouetted against the endless sunrise. Aeryn approached cautiously. The figure turned, a tall man with eyes like liquid gold and hair that shimmered like sunlight on water. He smiled warmly. "Welcome, traveler," he said, his voice resonant and soothing. "You've answered the call of the compass. This is the first step of your journey. Where am I?" Aeryn asked, their voice barely more than a whisper. "This is the Isle of Eternal Dawn," the man replied. "A place of beginnings. The compass has brought you here to learn the first truth of the skies, that every journey begins with a single step, but only those who are willing to embrace the unknown may take it." Aeryn felt a swell of emotion, excitement, wonder, and a hint of nervousness. "What do I do now?" The man gestured to the horizon. "Follow the compass. Trust it, and it will guide you. The skies have chosen you for a reason, and your journey has only just begun." As Aeryn stepped into the meadow, the air seemed to hum in approval. The compass glowed brighter, and the pull in their chest grew stronger, guiding them forward. They didn't know what lay ahead, but for the first time in their life, Aeryn felt certain they were exactly where they were meant to be. As Aeryn ventured deeper into the Isle of Eternal Dawn, the air grew richer with a hum of unseen melodies. The grass beneath their feet shimmered faintly, and each step released a gentle glow, as if the island itself responded to their presence. The compass floated ahead, its needle unwavering as it pointed toward the horizon. Though Aeryn didn't understand where they were being led, a deep sense of calm and purpose settled over them. The golden-eyed man from the meadow had vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared, but his words lingered. "Trust the compass." The landscape shifted as Aeryn walked. The meadow gave way to a forest, the silver-barked trees growing closer together. Their golden leaves swayed with a sound like soft chimes, and the air was filled with the faint scent of honey and wildflowers. Aeryn felt as though the trees were watching them, not in a menacing way, but with a quiet curiosity. As they moved deeper into the forest, Aeryn noticed something strange. The breeze carried whispers, not words exactly, but soft melodic tones that seemed to weave together in a language beyond understanding. The sound was comforting, like an old lullaby, and it seemed to guide them forward when the path became unclear. The compass glowed brighter. The first sign of the forest's magic appeared as Aeryn reached a clearing. A group of small creatures darted out from behind the trees, tiny winged beings with translucent bodies that shimmered in the light. They looked like dragonflies at first, but as Aeryn stepped closer, they realized the creatures had delicate humanoid shapes. Their wings sparkled like dew-covered spiderwebs, and their laughter filled the air like tinkling bells. One of the creatures hovered close to Aeryn, tilting its head curiously. Its voice was soft, like a whisper carried on the wind. "A traveler with a compass," it said. "It has been so long. Do you know where it's leading me?" Aeryn asked, holding up the glowing artifact. The tiny being smiled. "The compass leads to what you seek, even if you do not yet know what it is. But the skies test all who walk them. Are you ready to face the winds?" Before Aeryn could answer, the creature darted away, joining its companions as they disappeared into the trees. The clearing grew quiet again, save for the faint hum of the forest. The path became more challenging as Aeryn moved forward. The forest thinned, and the ground sloped upward. The compass led them to the base of a hill, where a set of stone steps wound their way to the summit. Each step was etched with strange symbols that seemed to glow faintly underfoot. The air grew cooler, and the whispers of the breeze turned into a gentle song, rising and falling like waves. Aeryn climbed, their hearts steady but their mind racing with questions. What lies at the top? Why was I chosen for this journey? When they reached the summit, the view took their breath away. The hilltop opened onto a vast expanse of sky, stretching endlessly in every direction. Clouds rolled like golden waves, and in the distance, more floating isles drifted lazily, their shapes shimmering like mirages. At the center of the hilltop stood a tall, elegant spire made of crystalline stone that caught the light and scattered rainbows across the sky. The compass floated ahead, guiding Aeryn to the base of the spire. There, engraved into the stone, were more symbols like those on the steps. As Aeryn touched them, the spire began to hum, its sound resonating deep in their chest. The clouds parted slightly, and a soft breeze wrapped around them, carrying a voice clear and gentle, yet filled with authority. "You have reached the threshold of winds," the voice said, emanating from everywhere and nowhere. "The skies are a place of beauty and freedom, but they are also a realm of trials. To walk among the floating isles, you must first listen to the winds and let them shape your heart. Do you accept this challenge, traveler?" Aeryn hesitated, feeling the weight of the question, but the pull of the compass, steady and unyielding, filled them with courage. "I accept." The spire glowed brightly, and the air around Aeryn shifted. The gentle breeze became a whirlwind, lifting them off the ground. For a moment, panic surged, but the winds held them gently, cradling them like an unseen hand. They spun slowly, surrounded by swirling clouds and light, and the whispers of the breeze turned into distinct voices. "You have left behind a familiar," one voice said, soft and kind. "You must trust what lies ahead," another added, firm but encouraging. "Let go of doubt," said a third. "The skies will guide you if you let them." The wind slowed, and Aeryn was gently lowered back to the ground. When their feet touched the earth, they felt different, lighter, as if a burden they hadn't realized they were carrying had been lifted. The spires glowed dim, and the voice spoke once more. "You have passed the first test, traveler. The winds have accepted you. The skies now open to you, but your journey is far from over. Follow the compass, and it will lead you to the next truth." As the spire fell silent, the compass pulsed gently, its needles shifting to point toward a distant island shrouded in mist. Aeryn took a deep breath, the pull in their chest stronger than ever. The journey had truly begun, and they felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. The mist-shrouded isle in the distance seemed to ripple like a mirage, its shape shifting subtly as Aeryn prepared to journey onward. The compass glowed faintly in their hand, its needle fixed resolutely toward the new destination. With the wind's calm and the spire's whispers still echoing in their thoughts, Aeryn took a step forward, feeling the ground beneath them soften into something like air. They walked as if on an invisible bridge, each step revealing the path ahead while dissolving the one behind. A strange serenity accompanied the act, as though the skies themselves were guiding them. Above and below, the endless expanse of golden clouds seemed alive, shifting and rolling in silent harmony. The further they went, the more the mist thickened, swallowing the horizon in a pale, silvery glow. As Aeryn approached the island, the texture of the air changed. The gentle whispers of the winds gave way to a soft, rhythmic sound, like water lapping at a distant shore. The island revealed itself slowly, the mist retreating like a curtain. What emerged was a landscape unlike anything Aeryn had seen before. An expanse of still water stretched out as far as the eye could see, its surface so smooth it reflected the sky like a perfect mirror. In the center of the water stood a circular platform of polished stone, its edges carved with intricate patterns. Around it, dozens of small streams trickled down from unseen sources, their waters converging and spreading outward in an endless cycle. The air was filled with a gentle hum, as if the island itself were alive with quiet music. The compass tugged gently, urging Aeryn to step forward. As they did, the water beneath them remained perfectly still, supporting their weight as if it were solid ground. The sensation was strange yet soothing, like being cradled by something vast and benevolent. When Aeryn reached the platform, they paused, gazing into the still waters surrounding them. Their reflection stared back, but something was different, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. The reflection began to shift, revealing not just their current form but moments from their past. Aeryn saw flashes of themselves as a child, wandering through sunlit fields, as a teenager, gazing at the stars with a sense of longing, and as the person they were now, standing on the edge of a great mystery. The images faded, replaced by ripples that spread outward across the water. From those ripples, a voice emerged, a voice that was familiar and yet not their own. It was clear and resonant, like a song carried by the wind. Aeryn, the voice said, calling their name with gentle authority. You have entered the island of echoing waters, where the past and present meet. To move forward, you must face what lies within. Aeryn's heart quickened. Face what? They asked aloud, their voice trembling slightly. The water shimmered, and the voice continued. Your journey is not only one of discovery, but also of understanding. The skies hold secrets, but the greatest truths lie within your own heart. Look into the waters and see. Aeryn hesitated before stepping closer to the edge of the platform. The compass rested quietly in their hand, its glow dimmed but still warm. As they peered into the water, the surface rippled again, and new images began to form. These were not moments from their past, but reflections of their fears, doubts, and unanswered questions. They saw a version of themselves standing alone in a vast, dark void, their voice echoing unheard. They saw the people they had left behind, their faces blurred, but their emotions unmistakable. Disappointment, confusion, sadness. They saw themselves hesitating on the edge of this journey, wondering if they were worthy of the sky's mysteries. The images were overwhelming, each one pulling at Aeryn's heart. But then the voice spoke again, steady and reassuring. Do not turn away. These fears are not meant to harm you. They are the echoes of your own heart, seeking to be heard. Embrace them, and they will lose their power. Aeryn closed their eyes, taking a deep breath. The words of the voice resonated deeply, and they realized that the images were not accusations or warnings. They were reflections of the vulnerability they carried, the doubts that had lingered quietly within them. Slowly, they opened their eyes and faced the images once more. "I see you," Aeryn whispered, their voice steady despite the emotions welling up inside them. "I won't run from you." As the words left their lips, the images dissolved into light, and the water grew still again. The hum that filled the air deepened, transforming into a harmonious melody that seemed to echo from the very stones beneath their feet. The platform glowed softly, and the compass in Aeryn's hand flared to life, its needle spinning briefly before pointing toward the horizon once more. The voice returned, filled with warmth. "You have faced the echoes and found clarity within them. The skies require not perfection, but courage. Courage to see yourself as you are and move forward despite uncertainty. The next part of your journey awaits." The mist around the island began to shift, parting to reveal a new path of light stretching into the distance. Aeryn felt a renewed sense of purpose as they stepped forward, the compass guiding them once more. As the island of echoing waters faded into the mist behind them, Aeryn couldn't help but glance back one last time. The stillness of the water and the quiet song of the island lingered in their mind, a reminder of the truth they had uncovered. The journey ahead was still unknown, but Aeryn felt a sense of peace, knowing they were ready to face whatever lay beyond the horizon. The lighted path stretched far ahead, glowing softly against the boundless golden sky. With each step Aeryn took, the air seemed to change. The warmth of the mist and the echoes of the island of echoing waters faded, replaced by a cool, tranquil stillness. The compass hummed faintly in their hand, its needle resolute as it guided them forward. Aeryn's thoughts lingered on what they had just experienced, the whispers of their fears, the quiet reckoning with their heart. But the path called, and so they moved onward. Before long, the golden clouds began to shift, thinning to reveal a new sight. Suspended ahead was an island unlike any Aeryn had seen. From its edges cascaded waterfalls of silvery light, spilling gracefully into the sky below. Tall, otherworldly trees stretched upward, their branches adorned with leaves that glowed like captured starlight. The forest pulsed gently, as if it were breathing, and the waterfalls sang a quiet, ethereal melody. The compass glowed brighter, as if urging Aeryn to quicken their pace. As they stepped closer, the air grew colder, yet it carried a faint, sweet scent, like dew on wildflowers after a rain. The moment their foot touched the soft, mossy ground of the island, the luminescent trees shuddered gently, their glow intensifying. Aeryn stood at the threshold of the forest, awestruck by its serene beauty. Venturing deeper, Aeryn noticed the peculiar way the light shifted around them. The trees cast no shadows, and the glowing leaves created patterns that danced along the ground. Each step felt deliberate, as though the forest was subtly guiding them toward an unseen destination. The sounds of trickling water and soft rustling leaves formed a soothing symphony, and Aeryn's footsteps blended seamlessly into the melody. But as they walked, something curious happened. The glowing trees began to whisper, not with words, but with faint tones that resonated deep within Aeryn's chest. It was as though the forest itself was alive, speaking through sound and light. Aeryn stopped, their breath catching as they realized the whispers weren't random. The tones seemed to form a pattern, echoing in a way that felt familiar. Reaching out instinctively, Aeryn brushed their fingers against the bark of one of the glowing trees. A soft pulse of light spread from the contact, and for a brief moment, a vision flashed in Aeryn's mind. They saw a vast, vibrant forest filled with laughter and joy, a memory of their childhood, of simpler times when they had run freely through the woods near their home. The vision dissolved as quickly as it came, leaving Aeryn with a bittersweet ache in her heart. The forest seemed to sense Aeryn's emotions, for the whispers grew softer, more comforting. The path ahead began to shift, the trees parting to reveal a wide clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a tree unlike the others. It was immense, its trunk so wide it seemed to touch the sky itself. Its branches stretched outward in elegant arcs, and its leaves glowed with a radiant, golden light. At the base of the tree sat a pool of crystal-clear water, its surface rippling gently despite the stillness of the air. Drawn by an invisible force, Aeryn approached the tree. The compass grew warm in their hand, its glow merging with the light of the forest. As they neared the pool, they noticed something remarkable. The water wasn't just reflecting the world around it, it was showing something more. Beneath its surface, visions danced like fleeting dreams. Aeryn knelt by the edge, mesmerized. The visions in the water were faint at first, like glimpses of another world. But as Aeryn stared, they became clearer. They saw a great expanse of sky filled with floating islands, much like the one they stood on. They saw people, figures dressed in flowing robes, their faces serene as they worked and played in harmony with the land. They saw towering spires of crystal and stone, connected by bridges of light. It was a world of beauty and balance, yet there was an undercurrent of sadness, as though something precious had been lost. The forest hummed softly, and Aeryn felt a presence near them. They turned to see a figure standing on the other side of the pool. The figure was cloaked in flowing silver robes, their face obscured by a hood that shimmered like moonlight. Though their features were hidden, their presence radiated calm and wisdom. "Welcome, traveler," the figure said, their voice gentle and melodic. "You have reached the luminescent forest, a place of remembrance and revelation." Aeryn rose slowly, unsure whether to speak. The figure continued, as if sensing their hesitation. "This forest reflects the light within all who pass through it. It reveals the memories you hold dear and the truths you seek, but it also shows the burdens you carry. Look into the pool again and tell me what you see." Aeryn hesitated but obeyed, their gaze returning to the water. This time, the visions were more personal. They saw themselves standing on the edge of the unknown, much as they were now. They saw moments of joy and triumph, but also pain and loss, times when they had doubted themselves, when they had felt unworthy of the journey they were on. The images stirred a storm of emotions, but Aeryn didn't look away. "I see everything," Aeryn said softly. "The good and the bad. The parts of me I cherish, and the parts I've tried to ignore." The figure nodded. "That is the nature of the luminescent force. It does not hide the truth, nor does it judge. It simply reflects what is so that you may understand it. Only by embracing all that you are can you continue forward." The words resonated deeply, and Aeryn felt a weight lift from their shoulders. The light of the forest grew warmer, and the trees seemed to hum in approval. The figure gestured toward the great tree at the center of the clearing. "Your path leads onward, but first, take this." They reached into their robes and produced a small vial filled with liquid light. "This is the essence of the luminescent forest," the figure explained. "It will guide you when the path ahead grows dark. Carry it with you, and remember the truths you have seen here." Aeryn took the vial, feeling its warmth seep into their hand. "Thank you," they said, their voice filled with gratitude. The figure bowed slightly. "Go now, traveler. The skies await, and your journey is far from over." As Aeryn turned to leave, the forest shifted once more, revealing a glowing bridge of light that stretched into the horizon. They stepped onto it with a renewed sense of purpose, the vial of light secure in their hand and the compass pointing forward. Behind them, the luminescent forest shimmered one last time, its quiet melody fading into the distance. The light bridge stretched far and wide, dissolving into the golden horizon. As Aeryn walked across it, the air grew thinner, crisper, as if they were climbing higher into the heavens. The compass in their hand glowed faintly, a steady presence that guided them onward. The vial of the luminescent forest's essence hung securely around their neck, its gentle warmth radiating through their chest. Aeryn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. A faint breeze stirred the silence, and the sound of rustling wings echoed faintly in the distance. They stopped to look around, but the endless skies were empty, save for a faint shimmer far ahead. The bridge seemed endless, yet Aeryn pressed on, driven by an unexplainable pull. The shimmer grew larger as they approached, revealing another island suspended in the sky. Unlike the serene beauty of the luminescent forest, this place radiated an energy that felt alive and protective. Massive stone pillars encircled the island's perimeter, etched with intricate carvings of winged creatures and constellations. Between the pillars, streams of golden light flowed like protective barriers, shifting and shimmering as if they were alive. Aeryn hesitated at the edge of the island, unsure if they were meant to cross. But the compass in their hand began to hum insistently, its glow intensifying. Taking a deep breath, Aeryn stepped forward, passing through one of the shimmering light barriers. A warm sensation enveloped them, and for a moment, their vision blurred. When Aeryn's vision cleared, they found themselves standing in a grand plaza. The ground beneath them was made of smooth, polished stone that glimmered faintly under the sunlight. Towering above were majestic statues of winged beings, their expressions stern yet benevolent. Each statue held a weapon, a sword, a spear, or a shield, and their wings seemed to stretch toward the heavens, as though in eternal flight. At the center of the plaza stood a grand fountain, its waters flowing upward in defiance of gravity. The liquid shimmered like molten gold, and within its flowing currents, faint images appeared, scenes of battles, celebrations, and acts of quiet heroism. Aeryn watched, transfixed, as the images shifted and danced. "You've come far, traveler," a voice said, breaking the silence. Startled, Aeryn turned to see a figure approaching. Unlike the hooded figure in the luminescent forest, this one was clad in shining armor that seemed to radiate light. Their wings, massive and feathered, were folded neatly behind them, and their eyes glowed with an intensity that spoke of ancient wisdom. They carried a staff topped with a glowing crystal that pulsed faintly in rhythm with a compass in Aeryn's hand. "Who are you?" Aeryn asked, their voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Kale, guardian of the Skyborn Isles," the figure said, their voice deep and resonant. "This is the Hall of Guardians, a sanctuary for those who protect the balance of the skies." Kale gestured for Aeryn to follow, and they walked toward the fountain. As they approached, the images within the water grew clearer. Aeryn saw glimpses of battles fought in the skies, of winged beings soaring through storms and protecting the floating isles from unseen dangers. They saw moments of unity, where the guardians stood together, their wings forming a shield that spanned the heavens. "This place," Kale began, "is a tribute to those who have dedicated their lives to the protection of Lyria. The balance of the skies is delicate, and it is our duty to preserve it. But why am I here?" Aeryn asked. "I'm not a guardian. I'm just following the compass." Kale turned to face them, their expressions softening. "The compass you carry is no ordinary artifact. It is a beacon, attuned to those who are destined to play a role in the fate of these isles. It has guided you here for a reason. Aeryn looked down at the compass, its glow steady and reassuring. What am I supposed to do? Kale smiled faintly. That is a question only you can answer. But before you can move forward, you must prove yourself worthy. Kale raised their staff, and the ground beneath them trembled. The statues surrounding the plaza began to glow, their eyes lighting up as if they were awakening from a deep slumber. One by one, the statues stepped down from their pedestals, their massive forms towering over Aeryn. Though they moved with an air of grace, their presence was undeniably intimidating. The guardians of the past will test you, Kale said. This is not a test of strength, but of heart and resolve. They will challenge you to confront your fears, your doubts, and your inner truths. Only then can you move forward. Aeryn's heart raced as the statues formed a circle around them. Each guardian seemed to radiate a different energy. One felt like a storm brewing on the horizon, another like the calm before dawn. As the first guardian stepped forward, Aeryn braced themselves, unsure of what to expect. The guardian extended a hand, and suddenly, Aeryn was no longer in the plaza. They were standing in a storm, the wind howling around them and lightning splitting the sky. The ground beneath their feet was unstable, shifting with each step. A voice echoed through the chaos, deep and commanding. "Stand firm, traveler," the voice said. "The skies will test your resolve. Will you falter, or will you rise?" The storm intensified, the winds threatening to knock Aeryn off their feet. But as they steadied themselves, they remembered the vial of light hanging around their neck. Clutching it tightly, they felt a warmth spread through their body, anchoring them. The storm seemed to falter, its fury lessening as Aeryn's confidence grew. When the winds finally calmed, Aeryn found themselves back in the plaza. The first guardian bowed slightly before stepping back into the circle. Kale watched silently, their expression unreadable. One by one, the other guardians stepped forward, each presenting a unique challenge. Aeryn faced illusions of their greatest fears, moments of self-doubt, and even visions of the choices they had made in their past. Through it all, they relied on the truths they had learned in the luminescent forest and the light they carried within them. When the final guardian stepped back, the circle of statues glowed brightly, their light merging into a single radiant beam that shot into the sky. Kale stepped forward, their wings unfolding in a magnificent display. "You have passed the trials," they said. "The light within you shines brightly, and the skies have deemed you worthy. Your journey continues, but know this, your actions will shape the fate of Lyria." Kale extended their staff, and the glowing crystal at its tip detached, floating toward Aeryn. "Take this," they said. "It is a shard of the Skyborn Guardian's essence. It will guide and protect you on the path ahead." As Aeryn took the crystal, it fused with the compass, its light intensifying. The bridge leading to the next island materialized, glowing with a soft, inviting light. "Go now, traveler," Kale said, their voice filled with quiet pride. "The skies await your destiny." With a final nod, Aeryn stepped onto the glowing bridge, their heart filled with purpose, and their resolve stronger than ever. Behind them, the Hall of Guardians shimmered, its light a beacon of hope in the endless expanse of the Floating Isles. The glowing bridge seemed softer beneath Aeryn's feet this time, almost as if it were alive and attuned to their newfound purpose. Each step resonated with a faint hum, echoing through the vast expanse of the skies. The compass in Aeryn's hand pulsed steadily, now infused with the essence of the Skyborn Guardians. Its light pointed unwaveringly toward a distant shimmer on the horizon. The destination felt both impossibly far and inexplicably close, as if time and space bent to the whims of the Isles. As Aeryn continued, the air around them grew noticeably cooler. The golden hues of the sky began to fade, replaced by deep shades of violet and indigo. Aeryn paused, gazing ahead. The bridge led into a thick, swirling mist that seemed to stretch infinitely. Within the mist, faint glimmers of light blinked like distant stars, each vanishing as quickly as it appeared. Aeryn tightened their grip on the compass and pressed forward into the veil of eternal dusk. The mist wrapped around them like a silken curtain, muffling all sound. It was as though the world itself had hushed, leaving only the faint thrum of the compass to guide them. As they ventured deeper, the mist seemed to take on a life of its own, swirling and shifting with an almost sentient intent. Shapes began to form within the fog, shadowy outlines of trees, towering cliffs, and otherworldly structures. The air carried a faint, melodic hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Suddenly, Aeryn stumbled upon a path. It was unlike anything they had seen before, winding and narrow, paved with smooth, dark stones that glimmered faintly in the dim light. The edges of the path seemed to dissolve into the mist, giving the impression that it floated freely in the void. Aeryn hesitated for a moment before stepping onto it. The path led to a vast, open space where the mist parted slightly, revealing a peculiar sight. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient stone archway, weathered by time and etched with intricate runes that glowed faintly in shades of silver and blue. The archway was unlike any Aeryn had encountered before. Its form seemed to shift subtly, as though it were alive and breathing. Beneath it lay a reflective pool of water, its surface so still it resembled a mirror. Aeryn approached cautiously, the compass pulsing more rapidly with each step. As they reached the edge of the pool, they peered into its depths. At first, the reflection showed only their own face, illuminated by the soft glow of the compass. But as they continued to gaze, the image began to shift. The water revealed a vision of an island unlike any Aeryn had encountered, a place bathed in perpetual twilight, where the sky was painted with hues of deep purple and orange. Towering trees with glowing, bioluminescent leaves stood in a serene forest, their branches swaying gently as if moved by an unseen breeze. The island was surrounded by shimmering waters that seemed to stretch endlessly, reflecting the twilight sky above. As Aeryn watched, the vision changed, showing a figure standing at the heart of the twilight forest. They were cloaked in flowing robes that seemed to shimmer with starlight, their face obscured by a hood. In their hands, they held a staff adorned with a crystal similar to the one now fused with Aeryn's compass. The figure raised the staff, and the twilight sky above them shifted, revealing a constellation that glowed brightly. The vision faded, and the surface of the pool returned to its still, reflective state. Aeryn looked up at the archway, which now glowed more brightly, as if beckoning them to step through. Before Aeryn could move, a soft voice echoed through the clearing, melodic and soothing. "Traveler, you stand at the threshold of the veil. Beyond this point lies the island of eternal dusk, a place where the boundaries between time and space grow thin. Few have ventured there, and fewer still have returned." Aeryn turned to see a figure emerging from the mist. They were ethereal in appearance, with translucent wings that shimmered like moonlight and eyes that seemed to hold the entire night sky. Their presence was both calming and awe-inspiring. "Who are you?" Aeryn asked, their voice barely above a whisper. "I am Lysara, keeper of the veil," the figure replied. "It is my duty to guide those who seek the truths hidden within the twilight. But the path ahead is not without peril. The veil tests not only the body but the spirit. You must be prepared to confront the shadows within yourself. Aeryn felt a knot of apprehension in her chest, but nodded resolutely. I've come this far. I'll do whatever it takes. Lysara smiled faintly. Your resolve will serve you well. But before you may pass through the archway, you must first unlock its secrets. Lysara gestured toward the runes etched into the archway. These symbols represent the key to opening the portal. Each rune holds a fragment of an ancient truth, one that resonates with the essence of the veil. To activate them, you must attune your spirit to their meaning. Aeryn stepped closer to the archway, studying the glowing runes. As they reached out a hand, the runes began to shimmer more brightly, and a soft hum filled the air. Aeryn felt a connection, as though the runes were alive and responding to their presence. The first rune glowed brighter, and a vision filled Aeryn's mind, a memory of their past, a moment of vulnerability and strength intertwined. They saw themselves as a child, standing alone under a vast sky, their heart heavy with doubt but their spirit unbroken. The memory was bittersweet, but it filled Aeryn with a sense of clarity. As they embraced the memory, the rune lit up fully, and the hum grew louder. One by one, the other runes began to glow, each revealing a different fragment of Aeryn's journey, moments of courage, kindness, and self-discovery. With each revelation, Aeryn felt a deeper connection to the veil, as though it were weaving their essence into its fabric. When the final rune was illuminated, the archway pulsed with a radiant light. Lysara stepped forward, her wings folding gracefully behind her. You have attuned yourself to the veil. The portal is now open. The pool of water beneath the archway began to ripple, its surface transforming into a swirling vortex of light and shadow. Aeryn hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the journey ahead, but the compass in their hand pulsed reassuringly, its light a constant reminder of their purpose. Remember, Lysara said, her voice gentle yet firm. The veil will show you not only what lies ahead, but also what lies within. Trust in the light you carry, and you will find your way. With a deep breath, Aeryn stepped through the archway, the vortex enveloping them in a cascade of light. The world around them dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors, and for a moment, they felt as though they were floating between worlds. When the light finally faded, Aeryn found themselves standing on the island of eternal dusk. The twilight forest stretched before them, its bioluminescent glow casting an otherworldly light over the landscape. The air was thick with a sense of mystery and wonder, and Aeryn knew that the next chapter of their journey had begun. The air on the island of eternal dusk was unlike anything Aeryn had ever felt, cool and crisp, yet heavy with an unspoken energy that seemed to pulse through the landscape. The soft glow of the twilight sky bathed everything in hues of lavender, amber, and deep blue. It was as if time itself had slowed, the world caught in an eternal in-between. Aeryn stood at the edge of the twilight forest, the bioluminescent trees towering above like silent sentinels. Their leaves shimmered faintly, a kaleidoscope of soft colors that shifted with every faint breeze. The ground beneath Aeryn's boots was carpeted with moss that glowed faintly with each step, leaving behind faint, ephemeral footprints that vanished almost as quickly as they appeared. The compass in Aeryn's hand pulsed steadily, pointing toward the heart of the island. Aeryn took a deep breath, the air carrying a faint, floral scent mixed with a hint of something more mysterious, like rain on stone and the distant hum of ancient power. As Aeryn ventured deeper into the forest, they became aware of the sound around them. A faint melody echoed through the trees, a soft and haunting tune that seemed to rise and fall with the wind. It wasn't clear where the music came from, but it felt as though the forest itself was singing. The tune was soothing, yet it carried an undercurrent of longing, as though it mourned something long lost. The path was not straight, but wound through the forest in a serpentine manner, weaving between trees with trunks as wide as small houses. Each tree seemed unique, their bark etched with natural patterns resembling constellations. Some bore delicate flowers that glowed like tiny lanterns, while others dripped with vines that sparkled faintly in the twilight. Occasionally, Aeryn caught glimpses of movement in the distance, shadowy figures darting between the trees. They were too quick to make out clearly, but they seemed curious rather than threatening. Aeryn felt no fear, only a sense of being watched, as though the forest itself was aware of their presence. After some time, Aeryn came upon a clearing. At its center stood a massive tree, unlike any other in the forest. Its trunk was a deep, iridescent silver, and its branches stretched high into the sky, their tips vanishing into the twilight haze above. The tree pulsed faintly with light, as though it had a heartbeat, and its base was surrounded by a ring of crystalline flowers that emitted a soft, melodic chime whenever the wind rustled their petals. The compass in Aeryn's hand pulsed more strongly now, its glow matching the rhythm of the tree's light. As they approached, a soft voice filled the clearing, not spoken aloud but resonating directly within Aeryn's mind. "Welcome, traveler," the voice said. It was neither male nor female, but carried a soothing, melodic tone. "You have come far to reach this place. Few are those who stand before the heart of the forest." Aeryn stopped, staring up at the tree in awe. "Are you alive?" they asked hesitantly, their voice barely above a whisper. "I am the essence of the twilight," the voice replied. "I'm not alive the way you understand life, but I am part of this forest, just as this forest is part of me. I am its memory, its guardian, and its voice." The tree's light pulsed brighter for a moment, and the flowers around its base began to glow in unison. "You seek the next piece of the Skyborn's legacy," the voice continued, "but the path ahead is not yet clear to you. To move forward, you must first understand the truth of this place." The tree's bark shimmered, and an image appeared on its surface, an ancient carving that depicted a group of figures standing beneath a sky filled with stars. Each figure held a glowing artifact, similar to the compass Aeryn carried. Above them, a constellation took shape, its stars aligning to form a symbol Aeryn didn't recognize. "This island exists outside the bounds of time," the tree explained. "It is a sanctuary, a place where the past, present, and future converge. The Skyborn came here long ago to hide a fragment of their power, a shard of light meant to guide those who would come after them. But to claim it, you must prove yourself worthy." Aeryn stepped closer, their gaze fixed on the carving. "How do I prove myself?" they asked. The voice grew softer, almost mournful. "The veil of eternal dusk reflects not only the world around you, but also the truths within you. To move forward, you must face the shadows of your heart." As the words faded, the clearing began to change. The soft light of the tree dimmed, and the melodic chime of the flowers grew silent. The air grew heavier, and the edges of the clearing seemed to dissolve into shadow. Aeryn felt a knot of unease in her chest, but held tightly to the compass, its steady glow a comforting presence. From the shadows, shapes began to emerge, vague and shifting at first, but slowly becoming clearer. Aeryn recognized them as figures from their past, a friend they had lost, a moment of failure they had tried to forget, and a version of themselves they had long buried. Each figure radiated an aura of sorrow and regret, their eyes reflecting Aeryn's own doubts and fears. The figures moved closer, their presence both familiar and unsettling. They didn't speak, but their expressions conveyed volumes, questions unasked, words unsaid, and choices left unmade. Aeryn felt a wave of emotions rise within them: guilt, grief, and a deep sense of longing. The voice of the tree echoed softly in their mind. Do not turn away from them, traveler. They are not here to harm you. They are the fragments of your journey, the pieces you must understand to become whole. Aeryn took a deep breath, their hands trembling slightly. They stepped toward the figures, meeting their gazes one by one. As they did, memories began to surface, moments of pain and joy intertwined, lessons learned and lessons ignored. The first figure, the friend they had lost, stepped forward. Their eyes were kind, yet tinged with sadness. You carry so much blame, they said gently, but it was never your fault. Let go of the weight you were never meant to bear. Aeryn felt tears welling up in their eyes. They nodded, feeling a small part of the burden in their heart begin to lift. The second figure, the moment of failure, spoke next. You see this as a weakness, they said, but it was a lesson. Strength does not come from never falling. It comes from rising again. Finally, the third figure, the version of themselves, stepped forward. Their gaze was steady, and their voice was calm. You are more than your past, more than your fears. Trust in who you are, and you will find a way forward. As the figures spoke, their forms began to dissolve into light, merging with the glow of the tree. The clearing grew brighter, the shadows retreating as the light of the twilight returned. The tree's voice filled the air once more. You have faced the truths of your heart, and in doing so, you have proven yourself worthy. The shard of light awaits you, and at the base of the tree, a small pedestal rose from the ground, holding a crystal that pulsed with a warm, golden light. Aeryn stepped forward and reached out, their hand trembling slightly. As their fingers closed around the crystal, a surge of energy flowed through them, filling them with a sense of clarity and purpose. The compass in their other hand glowed brightly, its light now perfectly aligned with the crystals. Aeryn knew that this was only the beginning, that the journey ahead would demand even more of them. But for the first time, they felt ready. Go, traveler, the tree's voice said, its tone filled with quiet pride. The skies await you. As Aeryn left the island of eternal dusk, the sky began to shift. The perpetual twilight faded into a gradient of soft oranges and golds, as if the sunrise were following them. The crystal shard in their possession hummed faintly, its light syncing perfectly with the compass they carried. The airship awaited at the edge of the island, anchored to a massive stone pier carved with intricate, glowing runes. As Aeryn stepped onto the deck, Lyric greeted them with an eager expression, their violet eyes glinting with curiosity. Well, did you find it? Aeryn held up the crystal, which pulsed faintly in the evening light. I did. But the forest, it was more than just a test. It felt alive, like it wanted me to understand something deeper. Lyric nodded, their expression softening. That's how these places work. They're not just locations, they're legacies of the Skyborn. Each island has its own story, its own trial. And now you've become part of it. With the crystal secured, the airship lifted off, its engines thrumming gently as it soared higher into the sky. The next destination was marked clearly on the compass, a shimmering line pointing toward the horizon where clouds gathered in swirling patterns. Aeryn and Lyric stood at the helm, the cool wind brushing against their faces as the ship gained altitude. As the island of eternal dusk shrank in the distance, a new sight emerged ahead. The air grew dense with mist, and the once clear sky took on an otherworldly glow. Aeryn squinted, realizing that the mist wasn't natural. It shimmered faintly, as though infused with magic. That's the ether veil, Lyric explained, noticing Aeryn's gaze. It surrounds the shattered ether, the next fragment of the Skyborn's legacy. They say it's where the very fabric of the sky was torn long ago. As the ship approached, the compass in Aeryn's hand began to pulse more rapidly, its glow intensifying. The mist thickened, and the world around them became a swirling expanse of silver and blue. Shapes flickered in the haze, massive structures that appeared and disappeared like mirages. A sudden jolt rocked the airship, and Lyric gripped the helm tightly. Hold on. The ether currents are stronger than I expected. Aeryn braced themselves against the railing as the ship was pulled into a spiraling current. The mist around them seemed to take on a life of its own, coiling and shifting like living tendrils. The air crackled with energy, and faint whispers echoed through the fog, too soft to make out but haunting nonetheless. After what felt like an eternity, the ship broke through the thickest part of the mist, and the sight that greeted them was unlike anything Aeryn had ever seen. The shattered ether stretched out before them, a vast expanse of floating debris, fragments of islands, structures, and even pieces of ancient machinery suspended in midair. The pieces glowed faintly, connected by shimmering threads of light that wove intricate patterns across the sky. In the center of it all was a massive, broken sphere of light, a remnant of some ancient, catastrophic event. The sphere pulsed faintly, its fractured surface radiating a soft golden glow that illuminated the surrounding fragments. "This is incredible," Aeryn whispered, their voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. Lyric nodded, their expression unusually serious. The shattered ether is said to be the site of a great battle, one that tore a rift in the sky itself. The Skyborn hid one of their most powerful shards here, believing it would be safe among the remnants of the past. But getting to it won't be easy. The ship drifted closer, navigating carefully through the maze of floating debris. The compass guided them steadily, its light pointing toward the broken sphere at the center of the ether. As they moved, Aeryn noticed that some of the fragments around them were not entirely dormant. Runes etched into the surfaces of ancient structures glowed faintly, and occasional flickers of light danced across the debris. "We're not alone here," Lyric said, their voice tense. "The energy in this place, it's alive in its own way. Keep your guard up." As if in response, the ship shuddered, and a low hum filled the air. From one of the larger fragments, a series of shapes began to emerge, constructs of light and shadow, their forms shifting and indistinct. They moved with a strange fluidity, their presence both beautiful and unsettling. Aeryn instinctively reached for the hilt of their sword, but Lyric held up a hand. "Wait, they're guardians, not enemies, at least not unless we provoke them." The Skyborn left them here to protect the shard. The constructs hovered in the air, their forms rippling like water. One of them moved closer, its light intensifying as it emitted a series of melodic tones. Aeryn felt the compass pulse in their hand, and the shard they carried began to glow in response. "They recognized the shard," Lyric said. "It's like a key." The construct emitted another series of tones, and the glowing threads of light connecting the fragments began to shift. A pathway formed through the debris, leading directly toward the broken sphere at the center. "This is our chance," Lyric said, steering the ship toward the newly formed path. As they approached the sphere, the air grew heavier with energy. The glow of the fractured light was almost blinding, and Aeryn felt their heart race with anticipation. The compass in their hand pulsed more strongly than ever, its light syncing perfectly with the rhythm of the sphere. The ship came to a halt just outside the sphere, and Aeryn stepped onto the deck, the shard in their hand glowing brightly. Lyric stayed behind at the helm, their expression one of cautious encouragement. "Whatever happens in there," Lyric said, "trust yourself. You've made it this far for a reason." Aeryn nodded and stepped forward, the light of the sphere enveloping them as they crossed the threshold. As Aeryn stepped through the threshold of the glowing sphere, the world shifted in a way that defied explanation. The air seemed to ripple like water, and the light enveloping them became a kaleidoscope of colors, golden hues blending with soft blues, silvers, and faint purples. For a moment, there was no ground, no sky, no ship, only the feeling of being suspended in a vast, endless sea of energy. Then, slowly, the surroundings began to take shape. Aeryn found themselves standing on a platform of smooth, translucent crystal, floating in the center of a vast void. The sphere they had entered now appeared as a fractured shell around them, its jagged edges shimmering with raw ethereal light. Through the gaps, Aeryn could see the floating debris of the shattered ether, suspended like constellations in an endless night sky. In the center of the platform stood a pedestal carved from the same crystalline material. It glowed faintly, and above it floated a shard unlike any Aeryn had seen before. It was larger than the one they carried, its surface intricately etched with glowing runes that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The shard pulsed with a rhythm that felt alive, as if it were breathing. Aeryn stepped forward, their boots making no sound on the crystalline surface. The shard in their hand began to glow brighter, resonating with the shard on the pedestal. Each step felt heavier, as if the air itself were growing denser. When they were only a few feet from the pedestal, the shard in their hand emitted a sharp pulse of light. The pedestal responded. The runes on the larger shard flared to life, and a voice echoed through the void, soft, melodic, and ancient. Seeker of the Skyborn's legacy, you have ventured far. Your courage and resolve have brought you to the heart of the shattered ether. But before you claim what lies here, you must face the truth of your journey. The past must be revealed, and the weight of your choices must be understood. The platform beneath Aeryn's feet began to glow, and the air around them shifted again. The void was replaced by a series of images, memories, dreams, and echoes of the past. Aeryn saw their younger self, standing on the edge of the cliffs near their home, gazing up at the floating isles and dreaming of adventure. They saw their first encounter with Lyric, the wary trust that had grown between them, and the trials they had faced together. But the visions didn't stop there. Aeryn saw flashes of the ancient Skyborn civilization, towering spires of crystal and metal, vast cities suspended in the clouds, and the people who had once called them home. They saw the moment of the great cataclysm that had shattered the ether, tearing apart the Skyborn's world and scattering their shards across the sky. And then they saw something new, a figure cloaked in shadow, their features indistinct but their presence unmistakably powerful. The figure stood at the center of the cataclysm, their hands raised as they channeled a torrent of energy into the sky. The light from the broken ether illuminated their face for just a moment, revealing eyes filled with both determination and sorrow. Who were they? Aeryn whispered, their voice trembling. The voice from the pedestal answered. They were the one who sought to save us, and the one who doomed us. The wielder of the shard you now see. Their actions tore the sky asunder, but they did so believing it was the only way to preserve what remained of our world. The vision faded, and Aeryn found themselves once again standing on the platform. The shard on the pedestal pulsed faintly, its light dimming as if waiting for Aeryn's response. And now you ask me to carry their legacy, Aeryn said, their grip tightening on the shard in her hand. But what if I make the same mistake? What if I can't live up to what's needed? The voice replied, calm and steady. The burden of the Skyborn's legacy is not one of perfection, but of intent. The shard does not seek a flawless wielder. It seeks one who is willing to try, to fail, and to rise again. Will you accept this burden, knowing its weight? Aeryn closed their eyes, taking a deep breath. They thought of all they had endured, the trials, the revelations, the bonds they had formed along the way. They thought of Lyric, waiting for them outside the sphere, and of the dream that had driven them to set out on this journey in the first place. "I will," Aeryn said, their voice steady. "Not because I believe I'm worthy, but because I believe it's worth trying." The shard on the pedestal flared to life, its light enveloping Aeryn in a warm, golden glow. The shard in their hand resonated in harmony, and for a moment, the two shards seemed to merge, their lights becoming one. Aeryn felt a surge of energy course through them, a connection to something far greater than themselves. When the light faded, the shard rested in Aeryn's hand, its surface now etched with the same shifting runes as the larger shard. The pedestal dimmed, its purpose fulfilled. As Aeryn turned to leave, the voice spoke one final time. "The legacy is now yours, Seeker. Carry it wisely and remember, the sky is not just a place, but a promise, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always hope." Aeryn stepped back through the threshold, the light of the sphere fading behind them. They emerged onto the deck of the airship, where Lyric was waiting, their eyes wide with a mix of relief and curiosity. So Lyric said, a faint smile tugging at their lips, "What did you find?" Aeryn held up the shard, its glow casting a warm light across the deck. "Not just a shard, a legacy." Lyric nodded, their smile growing. "Then let's see where it takes us next." The airship rose higher, leaving the shattered ether behind as it set a course for the unknown. The sky stretched endlessly before them, a canvas waiting to be painted with new adventures. Aeryn steps onto the final island, its mountaintop bathed in a soft, golden light. The air feels crisp and serene, as though time itself slows down in reverence to the moment. The compass, now glowing brighter than ever before, points directly downward, resting in Aeryn's palm like a steady heartbeat. The island is quiet, save for the faint hum of the wind. As Aeryn walks, the ground beneath their feet feels soft and gentle, like walking on moss. The landscape is tranquil, with rolling hills that lead to a towering mountain, its peak just visible above the soft clouds that swirl lazily around the island. There are no towering trees or sprawling meadows here, just vast open spaces that seem to stretch endlessly, like the universe itself. At the peak of the island stands an ancient stone temple, its walls adorned with intricate carvings of the floating isles and their secrets. These carvings seem to pulse with life, telling stories of forgotten travelers, of journeys taken, and of wisdom passed down through the ages. The temple is bathed in the same golden light that shines from the compass, casting an ethereal glow on everything it touches. As Aeryn approaches, the door to the temple creaks open, inviting them inside. The atmosphere within the temple is one of deep peace and quiet. The stone walls are smooth and cool, and the air is thick with the scent of ancient wood and the soft fragrance of blooming flowers from the garden outside. Shafts of sunlight stream through the temple's high windows, bathing the interior in soft, golden beams. In the heart of the temple, Aeryn finds an elder, an ageless being, with silver hair flowing like water, sitting in quiet meditation. The elder looks up, their eyes sparkling with a calm, otherworldly wisdom. Their face is both ancient and young, a reflection of timeless knowledge and eternal peace. "You've come," the elder says, their voice calm and full of understanding, like a whisper in a dream. "The compass has guided you here, as it once guided those before you. It is a symbol of balance, of seeking and of returning." Aeryn, full of both wonder and curiosity, steps closer. The elder's presence is comforting, as if they have known Aeryn all their life, even before this journey began. Do not be afraid, the elder continues, their smile soft and welcoming. You have already received the greatest gift Lyria has to offer, peace. But there is more to learn, more to understand. The elder motions for Aeryn to sit beside them, and as they do, the compass begins to glow with a soft, rhythmic pulse. The elder's eyes drift toward the glowing object in Aeryn's hand, their gaze filled with deep recognition. This compass, the elder begins, was never about guiding you to a destination. It is not a map, nor a tool to find your way. It is a symbol of the journey itself, the journey within. Each isle you visited, each being you encountered, each mystery you solved, was an echo of your own soul. You traveled across Lyria not to seek external answers, but to uncover the wisdom already residing within you. Aeryn listens closely, feeling a deep connection to the elder's words, as though the very fabric of their being resonates with the truth being spoken. On the Isle of Eternal Dawn, you learn to embrace the light within. In the Whispering Grove, you discover the power of listening, not just to the world, but to your heart. The Crystal Lagoon showed you that stillness is as important as movement, and the Isle of Shifting Sands taught you to release control and trust in the flow of life. All these lessons have led you here. Aeryn nods, their hearts swelling with gratitude. But what now? They ask softly. What is the purpose of this journey? The elder smiles, their eyes filled with compassion. The journey never ends, Aeryn. Just as the floating islands drift endlessly above the clouds, so too does life continue its rhythm. The journey you've undertaken is not one of destination, but of transformation. You have touched the wisdom of the universe, but now it is time to carry it within you. The elder stands slowly and moves toward a large stone altar in the center of the temple. On it rests a beautiful crystal, its surface glowing softly. The elder gently lifts the crystal, holding it out to Aeryn. This crystal is a gift, the elder explains. It is the embodiment of all you have learned. It contains the peace, wisdom, and balance of Lyria. It is yours now to carry, but remember, it is not meant to be kept hidden away. Share it with the world you return to, for it will need the calm you have discovered. Aeryn takes the crystal, feeling its warmth seep into their hand. The moment it touches their skin, they feel a deep sense of peace settle in their heart. It is as if the very essence of the islands, the wisdom of the wise beings they encountered, and the stillness of the journey have become one with them. This crystal will remind you of the serenity you found here, the elder continues. But remember, peace is not a destination. It is a way of being. The islands will always be with you, as long as you remain true to the lessons they've taught. The elder's words echo in Aeryn's mind as they slowly rise to their feet. They look around the temple one last time, feeling the weight of everything they've experienced. The temple, the elder, the compass, and the crystal, all these things are now a part of them. And yet, Aeryn knows that this is only the beginning. The elder walks toward the door and opens it, allowing the soft wind from the outside to swirl around them. It is time to return, the elder says gently, but carry this peace with you, and let it guide you in all that you do. Aeryn steps outside, and as they do, the island around them seems to dissolve into a cloud of golden mist. Slowly, they feel themselves lifted into the air, gently pulled upward, back toward the sky. The compass in their hand pulses with light, guiding them as they drift upward through the clouds, passing over the peaceful isles they visited along the way. As they float upward, Aeryn feels a profound sense of gratitude wash over them. They understand now that the true beauty of the journey lies not in the destinations they reached, but in the peace and wisdom they have cultivated within themselves. They are not the same person they were when they first held the compass. They have grown, evolved, and become something more, something whole. The journey of Lyria, once distant and dreamlike, has now become a part of Aeryn. And as they float back to their world, they carry the peace of the floating islands within them, knowing that wherever they go, they can find balance, wisdom, and stillness, even in the most chaotic of times. The golden light of the compass fades as Aeryn descends back to the world they once knew. But the lessons, the peace, and the beauty of Lyria will always be a part of them. They open their eyes and breathe deeply, feeling a deep connection to the world, to themselves, and to the universe. And in that moment, Aeryn understands that the journey never truly ends. It is a living, breathing part of who they are. A never-ending dance between the seen and unseen, the known and unknown, the stillness and the flow.